It is Tuesday, March 26, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. He is back and hard working. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. How's spring break, brother?
I'm having a great time. See, Rosie, I live a blessed life, and I'm very thankful for it. So we're here at the beach. Got all the kids here. I think there's like 12 kids here. Just living life. I cooked some steaks up last night. I'm a grateful man.
Okay. Anybody, you don't have to tell me who's there, but anybody I might want to interview at one of my other jobs?
It's the normal crew, Stafford's, Clausen's, and us. That's what we're doing here.
You guys are amazing. It's amazing.
You want to interview me?
Yeah, I would actually for the next half hour. So it's not so much an interview. It's more of a conversation between friends is the way I would say it.
I like that. Okay.
Quick reminder that Baseball Today is presented to you by our friends at Factor. Eating better is easier with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal, it is chef-crafted, it is dietitian approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. So that means you take your fork out of your drawer, the one fork that you have in your crib, you puncture a couple of holes in that bad boy, set it for 2 minutes and 3 seconds, because I can't ever set it in an even number, and there you go. Voila. You'll have 35 different options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Also, there's more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. So what in the world are you waiting for? Head on over to factormeals.com/baseball50. If you use that code baseball50, you're going to get half off, and you're going to thank us later. Also, a quick reminder that 2 weeks from Friday, you can see the first ever edition of Baseball Today live and in person at Boomtown Brewery, downtown Los Angeles. Click on the link in the description to get your VIP tickets, which means you get to take a really cool picture with Trevor Plouffe. So why wouldn't you go to this thing?
That's right. We're selling tickets right now. Boomtown Brewery. I've said it before on my the tweet that we put out, the little ad that we put out. It's a great venue, by the way. Yeah. So come down, hang out with us, have a beer. The shuttle will take you right to the game. It's a win-win.
It is. All right, let's get to it. Shohei.
Wait 1 second. Why does someone only have one fork in their kitchen?
Well, you were a bachelor. Weren't you a bachelor one time?
Like, sort of. I always have forks, though. I feel like that's kind of a thing. You just got to have some forks, people. Not just one.
A joke. It's a joke. You don't have to take it literally.
I thought like maybe you drew from your own experiences.
Oh, no. I had always more than one fork. If there's one thing I am actually really good at, it's eating. So, yeah. Usually, I was a double fister. I was like, I can go get that.
Okay.
All right. Shohei speaks for the first time since the firing of his good friend and his interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. He read a statement, and it was different, I think, than some of us expected. He did not take questions. However, he was adamant that Ippei did steal funds from him for years to cover a reported gambling issue.
Just on a personal note, I'm very saddened and shocked that someone who I'm trusted has done this. So I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf. And I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports. Up until a couple of days ago, I didn't know that this was happening. Ippei has been stealing money from my account and has told lies. The first time I knew about this gambling, Ippei's gambling, was during the after the first game when we had the team meeting in the clubhouse. So during the team meeting, obviously, Ippei was speaking in English, and I didn't have a translator on my side. But even with that, I kind of understood what was going on and started to feel that there was something amiss. Prior to the meeting, I was told by Ippei, hey, let's talk one-to-one in the hotel after the meeting. And obviously, I never agreed to pay off the debt or make payments to the bookmaker. And finally, when we went back to the hotel and talked one-to-one, and it was revealed to me during that meeting that Ippei admitted that he was sending money using my account to the bookmaker. In conclusion, I do want to make it clear that I never betted on sports or have willfully sent money to the bookmaker. I'm going to obviously let my lawyers handle matters from here on out, and I am completely assisting in all investigations that are taking place right now.
First of all, a little credit to his new translator or temporary translator, I guess, Will Ireton, who's been with the Dodgers organization. Not an easy situation for him to be put in there with every camera in the United States and in Japan and maybe even worldwide rolling on that one. So good job by him. What were your thoughts following that?
I haven't really got to speak on this. I've missed the last couple episodes where we've talked about Shohei. So I have had some time. I think my views have kind of gone all over the place. And now that a lot of information is out there, I feel like I have a decent grasp on what's going on here. I mean, my reaction is I believe Shohei. Here's the thing. Shohei's a baseball player, and that's kind of what he is. And that's not a bad thing. Like, he's a very, very good baseball player, and all of his focus goes there. So I've been in a situation obviously like that. Like, if you trust people, you trust people. And clearly he had trust in Ipe there. So when people say, how does that money go out of your account without you knowing? I would say this. I don't know if the 500 grand and all that in my accounts would go run amiss, but I feel like there are people that could access my account, and I wouldn't know for quite some time that money would be missing. My one question with it all is, where's the financial advisor kind of saying, hey, like, what are these for? Like, that's the safeguard that most people have. I know plenty of guys in the big leagues who aren't watching their money every single day. And if there's a transaction and your account's big enough, you probably wouldn't notice until the people that you trust tell you so. So, like, that's my one question in all this is, like, where's the financial advisor? But for a guy like Ipe to be able to, get security codes and passwords, I don't think like that's so far fetched. Like, if Shohei trusted him with all sorts of things, and that's what's been coming out is he wasn't just a translator, he was essentially almost like a personal assistant for Shohei. So he would have access to all of that, and like Shohei's focused on baseball, so I could see how all of this would just kind of like get swept under the rug, or like he wouldn't notice until it came to a head, like it has come to a head. Like, reporters start asking questions and all these things. Again, my one question is, where's the financial advisor in all of this to be like, hey, what are you sending this money for? It's okay, you have the money, but what is it for? I feel like that's a question that needs to be answered. But that's it. I mean, I feel like we're, as we've gotten more into this situation and we learned that Ipe had lied about going to UC Riverside, had lied about working for the Red Sox. Like, how does that happen? But
People
like the
lie on
more and
their
more,
resume all the time.
but that's a pretty like easy one to fact check though.
Yes.
Like, I work for the Red Sox for X play. Like, so like the more and more that's coming out, it seems like Ipe has kind of had this history of not telling the truth, being a liar. So at first I had a lot of questions and how does this happen? But really, like, I started to think about it more and more, and I feel like there's definitely a scenario, and it seems like this is what has happened, where like Shohei was focused on a lot of other things and like trusted people that he shouldn't have trusted. So that's kind of my reaction here. I'm curious. We'll see. I guess we're going to get an investigation. More things are going to come out, but as it stands right now, I believe Shohei.
Okay, so I don't have my mind made up on where this is. Do I believe that Shohei Ohtani bet on sports? No, I don't. That's where I think. Do I think that it is possible that there were $500,000 increments that could have gone missing from bank accounts? Absolutely. My financial advisor does not have an eye on my bank accounts. I don't know if yours does. My financial advisor, no, mine doesn't. Mine has on the accounts that he has that I have with him, but not on my bank account. So there's the possibility. Did Ipe help him set up bank accounts and in translation when he's sitting down with Shohei explain that, hey, you have to sign this, and it was something that allowed Ipe to have access to his bank accounts? Sure, I could find that believable. It's possible. Yes. Could I believe that Shohei does not check his bank accounts on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis? When you are that rich and are not doing bills and are not checking yes, I can find that plausible. Now, I check my stuff several times a week, but I'm really neurotic about things.
Yes, you are.
Yes. It would be the equivalent. Let's say Shohei last year made $60 million reportedly off the diamond and another 30 on the diamond. So let's just say he made $90 million last year. This is the equivalent of somebody who made $90,000 last year not seeing a $500 withdrawal. It could happen. It could happen. Somebody doesn't see it. They don't catch it, whatever. I mean, all I'm saying is that this stuff is believable. Here's, to me, the problem. I do think that Ipe had a major gambling issue, and it is possible he went to his really, really good friend and said, these guys are going to kill me if you don't give me money. Like, that's possible, too.
Sure, yeah. I agree with that.
Right? So what I'm saying is there's so much stuff that we don't know and probably aren't going to know for a while until these investigations are complete. So is it possible that Shohei wasn't telling the complete truth yesterday? Sure, it's possible. And I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. All I'm saying is I'm freaking confused. And it's okay to be confused. Here's what really bothers me. Are the people who are like, oh, he definitely did it. He definitely gambled and he's using Ipe as as the guilty dude. And then there's people who are saying, oh, he definitely didn't do it. And everything he says is truthful. I don't know that either. And now it's like every argument we've had in the country over the last decade. You have to pick a side, and if I don't like your side, then you're definitely wrong. Like, I don't know. I'd like to see this thing play out. I'd like to see the investigation play out, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the intelligent thing to do, is to gather as much information as possible, let the authorities do their business, and then figure out what happened after that. I agree. Rushing to conclusions right now is kind of silly. I think that you and I just both presented, what we think could have happened. I think my biggest point is, athletes in general. I play with so many guys who just don't even know what's happening with their money. They have somebody to take care of it. And if that person was like a bad person, they could get took.
Totally.
That's just how it is. So it may not be that way for you, but that is how a lot of, I would just say, athletes in general kind of run.
Or they certainly can. I do
Yes.
think it's not a crazy story, certainly for you who lived it and me who's been around it for 30 years to be like, yeah. I mean, there's so
many stories of this, of people taking advantage of people, or, there's so many just littered throughout sports history.
Yeah, by the way, there were baseball players who got caught up in the Madoff situation. The owners of the Mets got caught up so those are people who had billions of dollars. I think they had billions, the Wilpons. But you know what I'm getting at is that there are people who have been swindled. And so to say, well, no, he had to have seen that there were, $4.5 million in withdrawals gone from your account. Right. It seemingly would make sense that you would notice if there was almost $5 million missing. But it's possible he didn't. I don't know what he does on a daily situation. You know what I know he does for a fact? He mashes baseball and he strikes motherfuckers out. Other than that, I don't know anything else about Shohei. I don't. He seems like a lovely guy, but we don't know. He seems like a smart guy. We don't know. Just because we watch him hit baseballs and strike people out doesn't mean we know him, we know his character, and we don't know. We have no idea.
Can I cuss too?
Please.
He mashes baseballs, he strikes motherfuckers out, and he runs like the fucking wind, Rose.
Right.
That's what we know. All right, that felt good.
I'm sure it did. There will continue to be an investigation, federal, Major League Baseball. And it's a story which I don't think ends with yesterday's statement, in part because there were no questions.
Yeah.
Did it bother me? No, because I actually expected the minimum and got more. People gave me a lot of pushback yesterday on social media because I said, well, boy, we got a lot more than I anticipated. And what I meant by that isn't necessarily complete answers. I thought what we got was a more authoritative Shohei than I expected. I expected 3 sentences and I'd walk out of the room and we'd be done in 90 seconds. What we got was 12 minutes. And that's why I saw more than I anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you be pissed if like you were innocent and like all this is happening around you and all you want to do is play with a new baseball team that you're on? I'd be pissed too.
Yeah. So now it gets us to the on-field portion of the program. What sort of effect is this going to have on him playing baseball and his new team?
Zero. Absolutely zero, Chris. And I think what will happen and what we'll see happen, and I'm banking on this, like him cooperating however he has to cooperate. If something else comes out and it turns into a different story, then my answer will change. But as is right now, like I think he'll take solace in going to the park every single day and getting away from this and just playing the game that he loves. We just talked about what he can do on the field. That ain't gonna change, bro. Like he's going to go out there and do his thing. And again, like he's going to go to the park and it's going to be a sanctuary for him. Is he going to have to answer some questions every now and then? Sure. But the guy's going to go out there, put on a show, and everyone's going to remember why the Dodgers gave him $700 million this year. Like he's a stud. So I think it's not going to affect him whatsoever. The Dodgers, I don't think like the rest of the players on the team, like again, maybe you have to answer a question here or there, but this is all just going to be white noise outside. Like when they get in the clubhouse, on the field, this is not going to affect the play whatsoever.
I'll be curious. I am hopeful it doesn't. I love watching him play. When things go on in your life, it was interesting. So I covered Tiger when he started kicking everybody's ass. And I remember that Jack Nicklaus said something interesting. He said part of the reason I had continued dominance and won the Masters at age 46 was because I had a partner in my life that made things so stable at home that I could just focus on golf. And when Tiger got married, he said, listen, this is going to be the first. He said, I don't know her at all. I'm sure she's lovely, but it's going to be a change in his life. And his point is that you can be humming along as an athlete, but when something changes, good or bad, or it just makes it different, you don't know how you're going to react, okay? And so all I'm saying is that Shohei has been going along, and now there's something else in his life that's going on. Whether he's innocent, maybe he had a role in this, I don't know. You don't know how it's going to affect him until he hits the field. So for us to say, well, it's going to have no effect whatsoever, I think is inaccurate. It might be. I just don't know. I do not know what it's going to do to him. Maybe it's going to weigh on his mind more than we think.
I mean, this is a guy that left his home country to show that he could play with the best players in the world. This guy's been through adversity before and done what he's done on the field. So I'm on the camp of this guy's able to separate, whatever's going on from his work at the field. So I actually disagree with you. I think this is a non-story about him being able to participate and play to his ability on the field.
I think it's a non-story for his teammates. I don't think
especially them.
Yeah, I think it's not a distraction for them. Might they have to answer a question occasionally about it? Sure. I think for Shohei to have to deal with it inside and what he's feeling and all that sort of stuff, because whether he's 100% innocent or if there's something that he's feeling, I don't know. Who knows? Okay. Maybe it'll weigh on him. I hope not. I hope listen, what do I hope comes out of this at the end? I hope that they find out that, as gross as it sounds, that Ippei did something and that Shohei didn't know and that he didn't make any payments out of his bank account and all this sort of stuff. But who the hell knows?
I don't want to keep going on this, but here's another thing. I think even if he did know and like helped his friend out, I know that like legally that's probably not a good look. You knowingly wiring money to an illegal bookie. But like, if it's true that he was just helping his friend out, like that shouldn't matter either. But I understand in the court of law that it does.
And what the baseball court of law also would look at it.
Also that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, right. End of the day, if your best buddy was like, seriously, like I'm in deep shit.
Yeah.
You need to send $15,000 or I'm a goner. Of course we would all do it if we had the means to do it. Of course we would do it. I hope you would.
I'd do it for you.
Would you?
Yeah.
Now, what if it came down between me and Stafford, let's say?
What does that mean?
Well, let's say if you could only choose to save one of us.
You. He doesn't. I don't think he needs any saving. He's okay. He's okay. Oh, I got you, bro.
Me and Ollie?
Ooh, Ollie for sure.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
I get it. All right, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What is the first thing you'd do if you had an extra hour in the day? Well, a lot of us spend our lives wishing that we had more time. The question is really, for what? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and how to make it a priority. And therapy could help you find what matters most to you so you can do more of it. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. You've heard me talk not only across this show, but in the Rose rotation or anything I've been involved in, how much I do believe in therapy. I started it as a little kid. It wasn't a specific incident that led me to therapy. It was just something that my parents felt like it was really important to talk to somebody who had a fresh set of ears and eyes on a situation outside of the home. And it has helped me make decisions, make clearer decisions in my life. I'm now at a point where we're about to be empty nesters. That's something that I'm dealing with, and I think I might actually give BetterHelp a try. Here's the cool thing, is that it's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a real brief questionnaire. You're going to get matched up with a licensed therapist. And here's the cool thing. If you're not clicking with your therapist, and it is oh so important to do that, you can switch therapists anytime, no questions asked, and no additional charge. So learn what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Need you to visit betterhelp.com/baseball today. You're going to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball today. Go find the answers. That'll make your life a little more fulfilled. All right. Schedule gets going in less than 48 hours. Cannot wait. So I ask you this. It's kind of a two-pronged question. Which team that made the playoffs last year are you most worried about getting back? And which team that missed out on the postseason party are you most confident will be celebrating come October?
Okay. I was initially, for the first part of the question, the team that made it last year that is going to have a hard time getting back. Initially, I was going to go with the Miami Marlins. And, Yuri Perez is out, but he's actually got like a pretty good diagnosis. They're resting. We don't know how long he's going to be out. You think about their offense, but really they've tried to bolster their offense. So I'm not going to dig on the Marlins right now. I'm not going to dig on them. I'm going to dig on the Milwaukee Brewers. I love this team. I love this franchise. I wish sometimes they operated differently. But trading away Corbin Burns, obviously I don't like that. Devin Williams being hurt, obviously I don't like that. But the biggest thing for me and the challenge that they're going to face this year is they're relying on a lot of young kids. And they relied on some of them last year. But they're relying on more of them this year to fill out that lineup. You have some steady contributors there with Yeli and Contreras and Adames, who's, by the way, looking great. Who knows how long he's going to be with this team this year. But when you're relying on so many young kids in your lineup, you can really, honestly, you can bank on maybe half of them, maybe less than half on them. So just in my baseball experience, that means your floor is going to be low. Now, the ceiling could be there as well. But with the subtraction of Burns, Devin Williams being out for, was it 8 weeks, something like that, 6 to 8 weeks? It just seems to me like a lot has to go right for them to get into the playoffs again this year. You can make the same case for the Marlins, but I feel like we kind of beat up on the Marlins a lot. We give the Brewers a pass a lot. I don't like the moves that they've made as of late. And again, when you're relying on so many young guys in your lineup, that brings the floor down. So when the floor is, I don't know what the floor is. I think DraftKings has them in the 70s, 74 or something for their wins expected this year. So that means the floor is there. And if that's the case, I'm going to say the Brewers are going to have a tough time making the playoffs this year.
Okay. I don't know why I'm picking against this team, but I'm going to do it. The Tampa Bay Rays. I think you know
what? That's a trendy pick, C-Rose. That's a trendy pick.
Yeah, that's not why I did it. So we know that there's no Glasgow. Glasgow. That's funny. That's a place. Glasgow. He's the guy on my cell phone.
Is that in England?
There's no. I think it's Scotland, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No McClanahan. No Rasmussen. Springs is going to come back at some point, they believe. What is that?
I have no idea. A doorbell? Sorry.
Does somebody not like down there in Florida that I'm picking on the Rays?
Maybe.
That's probably what it is.
Maybe. Because, by the way, these guys there was a lot of injuries last year too, C-Rose.
I know there's a lot of injuries and issues off the field
every year
with them. And you have to finish in the top 3 of the AL East to secure a wild card spot, in my opinion. And they haven't finished outside the top 3 since 2016. So I just gave you a bunch of reasons why it's not going to happen. But I just think for whatever reason, this has got, to me, a few too many questions in their starting rotation outside of Eflin and Savali, who can be good, but not great. Littell, 18 career starts. Pepio, 10. Tyler Alexander is going to start the year in their rotation. 43 career starts. Guys who have bounced around a bit, haven't been super consistent when it comes to the starting rotation or haven't been given an opportunity. I just think there's a few too many questions in a really good division.
Okay.
And I know, I understand. Believe me, I could be eating a big old plate of donkey shit in October. And
we did the TPP on them, and there are reasons for concern, but there were reasons for concern last year. I believe they won 99 games. Like,
I know
the offense. I don't know if the offense is going to be as good as it was last year. It's going to be hard to replicate what they did, especially early on in the season. So there is that, but it is a trendy pick. People are saying, "Is this the year the Rays can't Ray?" I'm just never going to be on that side.
Okay. How about a team that will get there that wasn't last year in the playoffs?
This one was tough because I think there's a lot of teams you can choose from. There's a lot of teams right on the cusp of the playoffs last year. I think I know what team you're going with by the hat that you have on. I'll stay on the West Coast, and I'm going to say the San Francisco Giants. I've loved their offseason, and they've got clowned on for their lack of ability to sign people or to get people to get there. But let's remember they actually did sign Carlos Correa. And they ended up saying actually no because of this bamboo ankle that he has. But you bring in Blake Snell to pair with Logan Webb. Name a better 1-2 duo in the big leagues. I mean, they're going to be in the discussion for that, right? And then you bring in guys to solidify the middle of your order. Jorge Soler, I think Matt Chapman can be a much better hitter than he showed. Like, he's got the hard hit rates. They just have a very well-constructed roster, a lot of above average to average big league hitters up and down their lineup. I like their bullpen. I think they're very, very underrated. And, I don't really care who's managing a team, but this seems like a team that Bo Mel's way more comfortable with. I don't think he was comfortable with all those dang superstars down there in San Diego. This is a team that I think he could get motivated. And man,
is that what that is?
It might be. We've been Instacarting there's a lot of stuff going on. I apologize to the listeners. San Francisco Giants, I think, are going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Well, you are right about why I'm wearing this hat for the Seattle Mariners. I feel like we have a kinship because do you remember the hype speech I gave them with 2 weeks to go in the season, talking about how it was right in front of them, where they had 2 series against the Rangers and one with Houston sandwiched in between. And the last week of the year, they were going to be playing in front of a packed house in Seattle. And there's no way that you could lose it. Like, this is a team with good young pitching behind Luis Castillo. And we're going to go. And then they just fell flat on their face.
Yeah.
And I lost my hype man job, and I haven't been hired for motivational speaking ever since. I am not going to quit you, Seattle Mariners. I will not quit you. Basically, the entire rotation that you used the second half of the year, it is back. I feel good. You've brought in a pair of Mitches in Garver and Haniger. I think they can make a difference. Your old buddy from the Twin Cities, Jorge Polanco, Luke Raley. So they basically swapped out half of that team, which struck out way too many times last year. I think that they're going to be okay. I believe in them. And for God's sakes, we are tied together at the hip, Mariners, in 2024. I'll see you in October, and I can't wait to come up and party with you in the postseason.
I love it. I mean, I could have went there as well. I just kind of put 2 and 2 together in my head. I have a connection for you, if you will.
Yeah.
Are the Seattle Mariners kind of like the Blue Jays, who we just think they're supposed to be really, really good, and they have a great roster, and they've put together a great team, but it just hasn't come together on the field?
A little bit. I would say that the Blue Jays will spend a little bit more.
I'm just going roster-wise. Like, I like the Blue Jays pitching staff. I like the Mariners pitching staff. I like the Blue Jays lineup. I like the Mariners lineup. I think they both have good bullpens, but it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, and it feels like they swap players, too. It feels like anybody who's played for the Blue Jays has played for the Mariners. So, yeah, I think that's a good call for you. All right, let's move a little quicker on this one. You cannot. Here's the rules of the question. You can't use Shohei or Juan Soto as the answer. Give me one player on a new team that will have the biggest impact and one player that you think will rebound from either a really poor season or 2023 loss to injury. So let's start each with the biggest impact for a new player.
This one's a no-brainer for me. It's Corbin Burns on the Orioles. I mean, especially because Bradish goes down, who was their best starter last year. But Burns gives them, an ace, a stable stopper in their rotation. I know Grace Rodriguez is really good at this second half of last year, but he's still a kid. Like, he's still got to prove it at the big league level. Corbin Burns has done that in spades. I mean, not only is he going to be out there for every start, especially in a walk year, but he's going to be dominant. That's just what this guy does. I think moving to that park 2 is going to help him out. He already doesn't allow homers, but he's not going to allow any homers in that park this year. So I think him changing gives them like validity in their starting rotation. So that's my one that's going to impact the most. And then in bounce back player, I'm going to go a little close to the heart. See, Rosie, Carlos Correa. Dealing with plantar fasciitis last year, kind of wasn't himself, still made a huge impact in the clubhouse and how he went about his work and showed guys how to establish a routine, all of that good stuff. But he needs to be better on the field with his numbers. And he's had a healthy spring, made some swing adjustments. Last year, he was working a little bit too over the plate, got on the balls of his feet because his heels were bothering him. And when you do that, you don't give yourself enough, space to rotate the correct way. A lot of ground balls last year for him. I think being healthy and understanding where this team is at, it's a dang good team that has real aspirations. I think the sky's the limit for Carlos this year.
I am going to go newcomer with Hader. I just think that what he does in terms of lengthening that bullpen and make it a 6-inning game in Houston, because you go Abreu, Presley, and then Hader to finish it off, it's really going to shine if and when they get to October, obviously, in the way that you can stack guys and with days off and playoff series and all that sort of stuff. But I just think that even during the regular season where they might have some shortcomings because of injuries to the starting rotation, I do think that that's going to be really, really helpful for them. And the guy who's I expected, now this is a real long shot here, to bounce back is Tyler O'Neill. Like, remember him?
Okay.
Yeah,
of course I do. Yeah.
The only thing that we've talked about with him is he doesn't run fast enough around third base, according to his former manager.
We didn't talk about that. That's Ollie.
Right. So, I mean, that's the only thing you remember out of the last 2 years. That, and he's, combined to play one full season in the last 2 years. He's played 168 games, I think, total in 22 and 23. It was not all that long ago. He finished 8th in the MVP voting with 34 homers and over 900 OPS. His last 2 years, an OPS of 700 and 715. I think that that's going to skyrocket in Fenway Park in his new home. So, and he's only allowed to use his biceps. He's not allowed to actually use a bat to hit the ball with. So I think it's going to fly over the monster. There you go. We still have a little more show to go, but first, a word from Trevor Plouffe.
DraftKings Sportsbook has a deal for you as the baseball season has started. It's officially time for fans to head to the ballpark and root for the home team as the season gets underway. Use code BASEBALL today. Right now, all new customers who bet $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly. You got to use code BASEBALL today. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Like I said, new customers using that promo code All you do is bet $5 on any wager, and you get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code baseball today, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Baseball season is here. Do it legally, people.
Thank you, Trevor. Before we go, I want to pay my respects to a former teacher on and off the field, our high school baseball coach at University School in suburban Cleveland, Ohio. Chuck Selbach passed away over the last week, just 76 years old. As people know, I was a terrible athlete, okay? But I loved being part of a team. And so I wanted to manage the high school baseball team. And Mr. Selbach, I talked to him about it. We were a small private boys' school, and he was like, so you want to be the manager, huh? What does that mean you're going to do? I was like, well, I'm going to bust my ass, and I'm going to help out the team any way I can. I don't mind taking care of the gear and doing the stats. That's what I love. I'm just not good enough to play, but I want to be around my boys, and I want to be a part of a team. And he was like, great. So I started my sophomore year, and it was an amazing experience for 3 years. I loved doing it. Some of my best friends, Jay Novotny, Bailey Rice, still to this day, were members of that team. It was a blast. And the biggest thing was Mr. Selbach pitched in the major leagues. He went to our school in the 60s. He was drafted by the Tigers out of Dartmouth, and he pitched, I believe, 4 years in the show. He actually played for Billy Martin in Detroit, who ended up blowing out his arm. He was a reliever, and he just used him way too much. And so his career ended early, and he came back to U.S. and ended up being a great history teacher. Really good teacher. He always told me I had sports on my mind much more than history when I entered the classroom. And he gave me a C+ one time on my interim report card my junior year. And my parents were like, you are not going to get into college if you get a C+ in history. So you better go bust your ass. And I had to, and I ended up getting a B in the class and ended up getting into some good schools. But Mr. Selbach was a great dude. He made us dream big because he made the show. He never talked about his career. As much as I tried to grill him on interviews, hey, what was this like? He would say nothing. Well, hey, what was Billy Martin like? Because Billy Martin, one of the biggest characters we've ever seen in the history of the sport, some good, some horrific, he would never share stories about him. He just zipped his mouth about the clubhouse. And it was always kind of fascinating because you were like, God, I would love to know what it's like. And it drove my passion to want to be around this sport more and more. And so I would probably not have followed the path I have if it hadn't been for Chuck Selbach. So shout out to Chuck.
Yeah, shout out to Chuck because he helped mold a person that I love. And that's you, C. Rosie. And I would want to say this because I also had a very influential high school baseball coach. That age, high school age, I think is the most important year. Those years are the most important years to have a mentor, even more so than young, 7 to 10, whatever. Like when you're 14 to 18, you are so malleable. You need a good mentor. So if you're listening to this and you're in high school, find a good mentor. If you're listening to this and you can be a mentor to someone, be a good mentor to them because, man, those years you're so impressionable. So I'm happy for your coach who shaped you, C. Rose.
Thank you, bud. And then one time when we were home from college and all the boys were hanging out at my house and we had been partying a little bit, we were like, let's call Selbach. I'm like, what? We didn't have his number. They don't have cell phones back in the day. So we actually looked his number up in the phone book and called him. And he's like, Mr. Selbach? It's Chris Rose. He's like, Rose, you okay? I was like, yeah, it's just me and Novotny and Rice and Greta. We're all just hanging out and whiz. He's like, oh, God, that's enough. Time for you to go. I was like, sorry, Chuck. Don't call your high school teacher when you do that.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Quick reminder, Boomtown Brewery. Go get your tickets. Friday, April 12th. We cannot wait. There's a special edition of the Rose Rotation that is out with Miguel Rojas. Yes, we spend a lot of time talking about the Chaz Chisholm comments on another podcast. Go check that out for yourself. And we're back to 5 days a week, which we love. So you'll get to join us again from Florida on Wednesday, right?
I'll see if I can have some of my friends come say hi. They were walking around here. Like, they're all like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. This show, we're a big family here.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get a couple of quarterbacks on this show tomorrow, please. Okay.
They're here.
I love it. I love it.
Actually, I'll tell you right now, Matthew's at the gym because that's the kind of guy he is.
I mean, somebody can sniff being in the playoffs again after an amazing 2023. All right, we're back at it again tomorrow for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the uber-talented guy who rubs elbows with NFL quarterbacks on his vacation, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor.